Hello, my name is Jim Barrett. I'm a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu black belt, and this is a series of writings I made years ago about Jiu Jitsu and life. And these are motivational pieces, some of which started as motivational talks I would give my kids' classes, but I later embellished them and made them more adult and more pertaining to adult athletes. And here we go. So in jiu-jitsu and in life, I believe in you, but you must believe in yourself. There are people out there with such amazing skills that they make us question if we're really witnessing reality. Many were left in disbelief as they watched Michael Phelps take 22 gold medals at the Olympics, as Travis Pastrana pulled a double backflip on a motorcycle at the X Games, or as Edwin Najmi tapped a huge opponent with a flying triangle at the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu World Finals. Most people ask themselves, how in the world could a human being do that? Most people think these feats are even impossible for those elite athletes. The same ordinary people would believe that they themselves would never be able to accomplish what these highly skilled people do on their TV screen. I'm personally a huge believer in human potential. When I see someone perform a skill that would make most question reality, I wonder what they had to go through to get to this. I believe everyone already has the amazing in them, but the voices of encouragement were drowned out in the negative chatter. All those unbelievable skills you see on TV are performed by people that were once little kids watching at home on the living room floor. Every one of them had personal doubts, external barriers to becoming great. If you can handle the time and work and sacrifice and keep your focus, there's no reason why you should not end up being on the top of that metal podium, inspiring other kids like you. You will find there are some people that will always believe in you, but I promise there will be many along the way who do not share my vision of your potential. For every supportive person you encounter, expect 100 in return to feel the opposite. There will be people who laugh at you when they hear your dream. They will tell you you're wasting your time. These people will try to drag you down to their version of reality, where everything hard is impossible and dreams are for other people. They may be projecting, they may be jealous, and in many cases they want to see you fail. What's worse is this pessimism may come from anywhere. The negative voices often come from your enemies and rivals, but painfully you will hear them from your friends and family as well. It does not matter what anyone else thinks you can or cannot accomplish. The words of the doubters have no bearing on reality. And on the other hand, it doesn't really matter that people like me believe in you. The only voice that should affect you is your own. Impossible is a relative term. If you tell yourself you will never be great, I guarantee you will watch every Olympics from your living room. And you can't ignore what everyone else thinks of you. And adopt a mindset that you are worthy, that you have potential, and you are capable of whatever you set your mind on. You may very well have me in disbelief of what you can accomplish. Opportunities and patience. If you stay in the fight long enough, you will one day get the chance. With that said, you may have to wait a long time. You may have to endure pressure and pain, stress and suffering. You must weather the storm and wait for its eye. Sweat and blood may mix in your eyes and cloud your vision, but you must keep them open. Your body and mind may grow tired, but you must overcome the struggle to go on. You may start to doubt that your opportunity will come, or even if it'll be worth it after all you've been through. You must keep your focus if you ever want to pull through. Suddenly, that window will appear. Be ready. Do not hesitate. These windows of opportunity exist in space and time, and they will not stay open long. When you identify that you're presented with what you've been looking for, the time for waiting is over. Be fast. Do not think. Your reaction should be a direct reflection of the situation in front of you. If you are impatient or hesitate, you will face a wall of resistance. When the time is right, take the world as opportunity offers it to you. Fulfilling your goal is your reward for your belief, courage, and patience. Kids sometimes say to me, I can't do it. I can't do it. I say, you can't do it yet. You may lose 9 out of 10 times, but you will never get lucky in that 10th time if you don't try your hardest every time. At some point, you're going to be in a situation where the odds are against you. You could be matched up against an undefeated champion, or could have lost your opponent many times before. On paper, you will fail 9 out of 10 times. However daunting that task in front of you, there's a small chance of success. When I say you have a 1 in 10 chance of winning, that is only under the conditions that you are prepared, you are focused, and you tried to the fullest of your ability on each of those 10 attempts. You must lose your 7th match in a row, get yourself up, dust yourself off, and get ready to fight your hardest for an 8th time, well aware of how events played out the last 7. If you walk out thinking you're going to lose, you have no chance. You'll be certainly right in that belief. Your chances of success will plummet to 0, and you'll fail 10 of those 10 tries. Be comforted in that if you walk forward into a great challenge, in spite of the terrible odds against you, you have the luxury of the potential for achieving greatness. Sometimes the greatest fighter is not the 4-time champion, but rather the guy who had little to no chance, who pushed him in the prelim. This is the one thing that to be a skilled athlete, a champion submission grappler, or a legendary title holder, the greatest respect goes to those who fought against the odds. It's usually easier to quit than go forward. In any great undertaking, such as learning the intricate art of Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, the easiest step is first deciding that this is what you want to accomplish. Every step forward after that will be progressively harder as you question your goal and you're facing what it really takes. The opportunities to give up will be tempting, and there will be many. Quitting is readily available, and it is always easier, and it is usually the logical option. You'll be pushed to exhaustion, you'll experience pain, you'll see failure, you'll be forced to make sacrifices, you will lose hope. Turning back will become attractive, but you must remember your goal. If you give up your dream, you may ask yourself who you'll be without it. Imagine yourself as you once envisioned, and know it is worth more than the relief you experience if you give in to the suffering you are now in the midst of. While you may suffer in these moments of uncertainty, compare that to the drawn-out suffering you will live with as you sit and think about on what it would have been like if you pushed through. Getting a new belt is cool, but they look silly. White, blue, purple, brown, black. If used correctly, they all turn white and gray. Don't let one day change you. Be the champion of every day. I think competitions are fun and a great way to challenge ourselves, but win or lose, I don't let the outcome of one day change my outlook. Before a tournament, you envision that by the end of the day, you will have a gold medal around your neck, a smile on your face, and a reinforced belief that you love this sport. However, these days of competition rarely go as planned. Fighting in these high-pressure situations is stressful, as our weaknesses are exposed, while friends and coaches watch. Many times I've seen fighters lose a match by a narrow margin. things could easily have gone their way if the fight played out just a little bit different. But by the luck of the draw, they lost this time. In an alternate universe, where the fight played out another way, they would have stepped off the mat thinking about their next match, about the next practice, where they would collect high fives from their teammates. But in the reality where they lost, they step off the mat wondering why they did this tournament in the first place, and whether they will show up to the gym on Monday. These pessimists may have been training for years, yet the event of a single 6-minute match left them questioning why they fight in the first place. Before I go out to a tournament, I leave confident in who I am. That confidence will carry me through any events the day might have in store. And I know I'll go bed tonight with the same goals and dreams. If one day failure rocks you, maybe you weren't the hot shit you imagined. And if you think one day of victory makes you hot shit, your goals are probably short-sighted. You may go to bed as today's champion, but tomorrow we fight again. Those who achieve titles like gold medalist or world champion don't simply show up to be the best on that one day. They've been pushing themselves to be the best every day. They are the best under pressure fighting the world championship because they've been practicing to be the best every day leading up to this. Today's champion is no regard for the events of yesterday, and they'll go to bed tonight with dreams of winning tomorrow. I will not lie, to live is to live through pain. Jiu Jitsu is rough. Our main goal is to dominate and submit our opponent, which can obviously cause the other person pain. Another chance is to get hurt in a competitive match where we are stretched in awkward positions and engaged in unpredictable scrambles. However, there are many other opportunities to experience pain along the way as we are accidentally pinched, scratched. We collect little rug burns all over from our gis and the mats. Even when we win a fight, we rarely walk away unscathed. Just the conditioning drills and games we do in class probably cause more pain than most other activities. Now, you were raised by nice parents that treat you well and always want to keep you happy and safe, but they don't want you to dwell on the harsh reality of suffering. However, I am not your parent, and I will tell you the truth of it. Life is rough. You go through a lot of pain in your time in Jiu Jitsu, but I promise you will go through pain the rest of your life no matter what you do. The pain in your life will get worse, and it's unavoidable. Since you'll definitely be in pain throughout the rest of your life, I want you to learn how to deal with it starting now. Sometimes I see 2 kids bump their head and fall on the ground. My response is just to get up. I want to make sure that you're not hurt too bad, but I want you to stop and dwell on what hurts. I literally want you to get up off the floor. But more than that, I want you to get back in the game of tag. Most times we get hurt, we wait a moment, then we yell, or we cry, or curse out loud. But by the time we make that noise, the pain's already passing. By acting out, you make your pain worse and relive and draw it with a thing of the past. Don't get mad at life. You knew at some point you'd get hurt. That's the price of playing the game. When I'm in pain, I take hold of my attention for a breath. When I feel the pain, I take it in, take a deep breath, hold it for that moment, identify what hurts, and exhale, and try to let go of that moment of pain forever. I have better moments ahead of me, so I try to move on with my life. Life will get harder. Life will get more painful. Live long enough, and you will eventually suffer. When you face true pain, and you will, I want you to be ready. When something really hard happens to you, such as a loss or a separation, I don't want you to carry that pain with you any longer than you have to. When you hold on to your pain, you miss out on good things life has to offer. What you see is not my final form, nor will there ever be a static, completed, fulfilled version. Accept that my life and person is a temporal phenomenon. Acknowledge that I have made progress up to this point, and that I was once something less, but practice brought me to this point. Aware that no no matter how accomplished I will get, I always have room for improvement, and the ocean always gets deeper. Always be progressive. Always be evolving into something better. Never be satisfied or content or stagnant. Always question what you learn, but be even more suspicious about what you assume you already know. Early on, I realized that Jiu Jitsu was too elaborate to approach learning without basic study aids. This included writing written notes. Every time I learned a new useful move, I would write out an entry in my notebook describing it, also mentioning where I saw it and who taught it to me. And about 1 out of every 10 practices I went to, I'd see a move that would make the cut. Over time, my moves started filling pages. I went back and started using the reverse sides of each page to include more. When I started to include lesson plans for classes and my private lesson students, I filled an additional notebook. I once struck up a conversation with my dad about the face value of my jiu-jitsu notes by figuring gym costs, seminars, equipment, medical bills. I told him the cost of my tore up, loosely bound stack of papers would be thousands of dollars. My dad pointed out that I didn't add in the cost of the time I spent on the mat and all the money I should have been earning. I didn't want to hear it, but he was right. There were a lot of other opportunities and experiences I gave up to be able to write out those jiu-jitsu moves. The cost of all these entries is incalculable, and they are all. Every time I wrote equals a chunk of time that I put on the mat. Page after page, these sacrifices of time add up to a dedication of a life. I'm going to skip that one. Kirimura defeats Gracie via Kirimura. Elio had been in some bad spots before. He was a champion of Brazil, fighting in matches with all sorts of rule sets. He had been punched, kicked, slammed, and pushed to his limit, but Elio Gracie would just survive till he could find a way to come out victorious. One of his fights had no time limit and ended up going 3.5 hours. As one of the founders of Brazilian, or even Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, Elio fought for his livelihood, his family, and their name. The Gracie brothers never backed down from a fight. When judo champion Matsuhito Kirimura traveled to Brazil, Elio's challenge was inevitable. This was no normal challenge. Kimura's black belt lineage through the Kodokan University had extensive competitive success against the greatest judoka of all time. By comparison, the Brazilian fighting legacy was totally backwater. Carlos Gracie, only receiving a few years of formal judo instruction before teaching his brothers on his own. Kirimura was probably more skilled than Gracie and outweighed him by 80 pounds. Elio may have challenged Kirimura to a fight, but it was clear that he was challenging himself. Not taking the request seriously, Kirimura offered Elio a fight with Kato, another judo champion he was traveling with. A huge underdog in even this preliminary fight, Elio found his signature cross choke during a scuffle and left the Japanese fighter unconscious. With the unexpected victory over Kato, he earned the right to fight the superior Kirimura, but no one thought Elio could win. In one word, the match was ugly. Kirimura threw the Brazilian folk hero to the floor, put him in a scarf-hold headlock in front of the hometown fans. Elio squirmed on the floor and rolled away from his opponent, many times narrowly escaping certain defeat. Every escape took great effort and concentration, and awarded him nothing other than the right to keep fighting, the ugly fight to keep going. Yet he kept resisting defeat. Supposedly, the headlock early in the fight almost put Elio unconscious. If it did, today we might be calling the scarf hold the Kirimura hold. But Elio Gracie would not give that to him. It wasn't until the 13th minute of domination that Kirimura was able to find a shoulder lock and pried Elio's arm behind his back. But the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu man did not tap out. Kirimura collapsed his lock, cinched his lock even further, breaking the arm, but Elio kept fighting. So Kirimura pushed the arm lock again, until Carlos Gracie himself threw in the towel. Kirimura's victory left him with a highlight reel finish and forever marked the history of martial arts, as that shoulder lock now bears his name. Left broken on the floor, defeated, Gracie conceded that submission to his opponent. There's no one move called the Elio or the Gracie. In those root survival skills, Elio showed us that he had laid the foundation for an entire art to grow. The Gracie legacy and lineage is now expansive and comparable to that of the Kodokan itself. In his bold survival and his refusal to surrender, he inspired so many more. The will to survive is what drives us all who fight. It makes me wonder, how long could I survive in a fight with Masahito Kirimura? My jiu-jitsu gi is my secret identity. Pants and kimono, and a belt to keep it together. It's a simple disguise. When I wear my gi, all evidence is my life as I see it, as most see it, is tucked away in the locker room, where it waits for later. Your wallet, watch, keys, cell phone, and all they represent can't help you now. That world, and all the people and problems in it, can wait. The mats we fight on are our temple. A temple with walls with holes from feet and heads, and little curly hairs line the floor. A temple where all you can bring with you is what you've learned. You cannot fake anything. Suffering and exhaustion and fear. We know we are strong and we are weak. We learn that you are right if you can still breathe. In this temple, respect is not won like how it is in your street clothes. On these mats, a nurse can be better than the surgeon. A dope boy can gain the respect of a cop. The biggest pretty boy in the gym may run over the guys covered with sleeves and full back tattoos. The random people I meet have no idea how much time I spend in that gi. They might not even believe me if I tell them. With enough time in that gi, you start doing the opposite of sizing people up. You wonder and respect what could potentially be under those clothes. You know that the man you see is a costume that the true one is wearing. But when I'm fighting and someone's coming at me hard, your lifespan shrinks to the time between breaths. I forget myself. I become nothing but a mirror. Reflect the situation as nothing else matters. Those are the moments I'm just me. That's enough.